Hi, Ari. Welcome back.
Hi,
Great to have you again.
thank you. Good to be back.
And this is one of my most important segments because I'm really interested in this. Today's topic is going to be Iran, Saudi, Turkey geopolitics that most Indians do not understand. And that's the first question. Why don't they understand? But let me start by this. My understanding of the conflict has been, being from Muslim heritage, that the Iranis are Shia, right? And the Saudis are
Yeah.
Sunni. So that's obviously a conflict. It goes back to
Mhm.
the Prophet's time, when the Shiism came in, and the Shias believed that Hazrat Ali there was injustice done to him. He should have been the successor to the Prophet. The Prophet's daughter Fatima, she was marginalized by Abu Bakr, the first caliphate. And that's where the whole, this separating of the religion comes from, the Fatimid dynasty and everything. The 12 Shias who believe there's going to be a Mahdi and he'll come and he'll be the next prophet and all. Now that's understandable. The Shia ideology in conflict with the Saudi ideology, which is Sunni, right? They don't even consider the Shias as Muslim enough.
Muslims. Yeah.
But then what's surprising for me is Turkey, because the caliphate had been abolished in 1920 by Ataturk. It's more or less, for me, it's a secular country, right? Absolutely secular. Separation, total separation of the state and religion.
State and the church. Yeah.
How explain this whole thing? For me, it's difficult to understand.
It's a very complex story actually. What you've said is right. Iran and Saudi Arabia having their basic differences and all. So basic differences तो बहुत पहले से था. Now, why has it come to it that United States and the Western world is suddenly considering Iran to be the biggest terrorist threat? That's a question which we need to ask, because if you look at the history of Shia, they've always been oppressed, always been marginalized. If you look at the Shia population in Middle East, in Saudi Arabia, bolo, in Lebanon, bolo, till about Hezbollah came into being, in Yemen, bolo, they have been in minority. They have been oppressed. They have been this thing. Iraq has had a massive underground Shia population, always very poor, always very marginalized, always very oppressed. How did they suddenly gain this much of traction, leverage? That's what makes this Saudi Arabian geopolitics very interesting, and that's what has actually it is all boiled down to a boiled up to a level where West suddenly sees a terrorist in Iran. It has all boiled up.
Shouldn't have been, considering after 9/11, Saudi should have been the target, but they were very clever, dissociated themselves from the Bin Laden family, and distanced themselves from the whole point, and shouldn't have been. Iran shouldn't have been the threat as much as it is now. It should have been the Saudis, but they went after Iraq, they went into Afghanistan after 9/11, kind of, or maybe there's a strategy there. You could explain better.
Iran has a strategy. As far as West is, क्या बोलते हैं उसको? How shall I put it? Definitions are concerned. Okay, they are the ones that have created the definitions and they are misusing the definition. What Iran is doing isn't terrorism. What Iran is doing could be called sectarianism.
Right.
Okay, which we will come to know when we get into the discussion. See, अच्छा सबसे पहले क्या करते हैं? What I need to do is, in order to make any sense of it for Indian viewers, we have to first understand the mindset.
Okay.
And that's what I think. That's what I want. That's how I would want to go as far as this understanding.
Explain the mindset.
See, there are three mindsets which are in play here. Number one is the American mindset, because America is heavily, involved in the affairs of the Middle East. So this is the American mindset is the number one thing. Ab American mindset ko samajhne ke liye, I must tell you the joke of the Red Indian. You heard the Red Indian joke?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so this is the Red Indian that walks into a bar. He's got a gun in one hand and he's got a bucket of shit in another hand. So he sits down, he has his beer, Okay, and he suddenly tosses the bucket up and he shoots it with his gun, and this like the bucket explodes and there's shit splattered all around the bar, and then he walks out. So one of this bar में बैठा था एक आदमी ने पूछा कि chief, what's wrong with you, what's happened? He said, me trying to be like an American. So बोला कि what's being like an American? He says, the Red Indian says, you know, walk in, drink beer, shoot crap, leave. Okay, so
Perfectly apt.
so that is how I would want to start with the American mindset. You know, why I'm telling you is that American mindset is like, you know, they are like your boss. Corporate में जो होता है ना, they're like your boss. You know, I know everything about everything. Whatever I don't know doesn't exist. It is not important. Shia-Sunni divide has been so subtle that many of us in this part of the world did not get the Shia-Sunni divide till about 80s or 90s.
Absolutely. Yeah.
आज के दिन में कैलकाटा में we have Sunni crowds that take out full-fledged Muharram का procession. Sunni crowds. आज के दिन में भी. Till about last year we saw them. So the divide which is there in between them used to be a very subtle divide at one point in time. Well, 1979 के बाद वो हो गया, Islamic Revolution हुआ, the Iran का वो हो गया. We're fine. Now, this is just one part of the story of Middle East. Now, as far as the other part, the American mindset is concerned, to an American, anything that happened before 1776 doesn't exist. If you talk to an American and if he, at any point in time of your conversation, if he says, but that's history, man, that means he's disinterested. He doesn't want to discuss with whatever you're discussing with you. So the average Americans has got a very low understanding about history, and they are messing up in a region which treats 600, 700 year history like it happened yesterday. It's there in their collective community memory.
Absolutely true.
Okay. So that's one thing which they don't get it. They hate history. They don't understand history. They don't give a damn about history. Okay. तो अमेरिका के पास क्या है, बहुत सारा पैसा है. Arab world में उसको वो तेल वेल के लिए चक्कर में था. They were like, so they like kind of carved out the Arab world. अभी Americans लोग क्या करते हैं, whenever they throw around that money, and whenever there is trouble on its own, or whenever they're creating some trouble, what they do is they go out and they say, we are trying to, like Iraq, they first destroy and then they say we are getting into a nation building process. लेकिन इसमें भी problem है. They don't build nations, they build states. Now there is a difference here which I would want to point out, like this sectarianism and terrorism thing. The difference between a country, a nation, and a state. A country is a geography, is a piece of geography. Like India is a country, political boundaries may, that part is mapped.
Yeah.
What is a nation? Nation is people living in that country.
True.
State is the government. So a state, so what America does is, America, ये state पसंद नहीं हुआ, उसको change कर दो, ये dictator अच्छा नहीं लगा, उसको change कर दो. They change states in the name of nation building. Nation building वो लोग को आता नहीं आजकल. The last time America built a nation was back in 1945. It built two nations. One was Germany, one was Japan. They made a damn good deal out of it. Why? Because those were different days. Those were different set of planners. They are not alive anymore. 1990 ke baad, those kind of people don't exist in American system anyway. So as far as, and then how were they successful in Germany? They were successful in Germany because Germans are hardwired with Westphalian's values. तो उसको भी बना दिया. जापान को इतना बम मारा था, वो लोग का दिमाग में कुछ था भी तो दे लाइक कुछ नहीं बोला, भाई जो करना है कर लो. So you have reduced two nations to effective rubbles, and then you are starting to build on them, and then you give about 20, 25 years, 30 years time, you can be expected to build a good nation if your intent is right in place. यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, you have a pyramid which is Arab world, which has got 17,000 layers of religion and sect and tribalism and village headman authority and family and everything, and you are not interested about that rest of the pyramid. You're just walking in and you're just replacing the top of the pyramid with something else. It doesn't work. Now, why I'm discussing about the American mindset is because this American mindset in turn affects the Arab mindset, which you have to understand. Arab mindset is partially influenced by the American mindset. They behave in the same way these days. And if you look at Yemen में जाके bomb मार दिया ना. They fly their planes, they throw their cluster bombs, they throw their precision guided missiles. जब किसी कहीं अमेरिका से खरीदा था उसको जाके वहां पे मार दिया, irrespective of whether it was a funeral, irrespective of whether it was a wedding, बाजार में भी मारा, सब जगह पे मार के आ गया. And then when Peter Smith, a frontline, puts these questions across to their top brass, they don't have coherent answers. When Peter Smith asks how many people have been killed by you guys bombing, then this top brass, whoever this name was, the video be helpful, you go and ask that to Yemen government.
True.
So now the inner side of the under the story about Arab world is the US contractors. We're not supposed to name them. They run the inner circle. The US corporate run the outer circle as far as Arab is concerned. Arab ka ek problem hai. The Iranians and the Turks, they consider Arabs to be lesser people. There is a reason behind it. Iran's ka imperial tradition is 2,500 years. They bloody fought the Greek and the Rome.
Persian Empire.
Yes.
Cyrus the Great, right?
Yeah. 2,500 years of continuous history, of continuous existence. कोई भी पर्शिया में जाता है वो पर्शियनाइज्ड हो जाता है. Okay, they've been a very rich culture. Turkey's imperial क्या बोलते हैं traditions are like 1,000 years old. उस हिसाब से देखो तो Arab is like barely 100 250 years, 150 200 years. And वो भी वो monarch तो नहीं था, वो chieftain के किस्म का था. It's just that this Ottoman empire dissolved at the end of the First World War and he came into existence. उसका claim to fame हो गया वो मक्का मदीना लेके. So they don't have a very strong imperial structure. Historical continuity उसके पास नहीं है. The Arab state structures are not very solid because they did not go through the whole process organically. State build का जो organic process जो development होता है, which Iran has gone through, they haven't gone through. आज के दिन में if you see उसका sectarian conflicts तो है ही, tech disruption में problem तो है ही. Apart from that, they have a aging ये क्या बोलते हैं उसको monarchy system. 83-year-old leaves the throne to a bloody 89-year-old. He leaves the throne to a bloody 82 years old. Like they're moving around in 80. Yeah. This is the first time a 30-something guy has come to power, which goes to show how desperate they have become.
Right.
So the state structure is not there. Their monarchic system is crumbling. You consider Bahrain, you consider Saudi Arabia. It's the same thing. Right. Okay. They know that they are artificial constructs to advance Western hydrocarbon interest. Now, if you look at it, so they know that they are weak. They know they don't have a coherent plan. Okay. What they are doing, like USA, is that when this 1979 Iranian revolution happened, they realized in the haste, they were caught napping basically. Okay. So एक वो होता है ना proactive बंदा, एक reactive बंदा. ये लोग सो रहे थे. They suddenly woke up and they realized, अरे अपने को भी कुछ करना है. They started throwing around money with the hope that Sunni radicalism builds up.
Right, that's true.
ये भी एक कहानी है. मतलब, it's funny actually. It's irony. It's an irony basically. They wanted to throw around money to that part in Afghanistan and Pakistan with the idea that they would encircle Iran.
Yes, but
79. Look at what has happened now. Iraq is gone, Syria is gone, Lebanon is gone, Yemen, give another 5-10 years, Yemen would also probably be gone. So that's the Arabian mindset. And if you then look at the Iranian mindset, well, you look at a civilization continuity, you look at imperial tradition. Iran ka sabse bada kya hai pata hai? One thing which Purana videos, maybe I said we will talk about Iran and all. Right from the time of the Elamites are the first one that, introduced administrative bureaucracies.
Oh.
The Medes gradually उसको लेके improvise किया, Achaemenids, Sassanids उसको लेके बाद में उसको improvise किया और अच्छा किया. They are an extremely solid group of planners and bureaucrat and administrator. In the day-to-day business of an empire, you don't wage wars. Day-to-day business of an empire is bureaucracy and administration.
True, absolutely.
That is why Iran has such an elaborate structure of administration. Okay, that's one. Second thing is, agar language dekho, so Arab script has Persian influence.
It has.
Persian court language था इंडिया में तक भी था.
Yes.
इसने हुमायूं को भी शिया में convert कर दिया था. Iran ने. Okay, so population को देखो, they are in Bahrain, they are in Lebanon, they are in Saudi Arabia, they are pretty spread out. उस दिन I heard a very interesting thing. The unofficial currency from Eastern Mediterranean to Afghanistan is Iranian rial. The unofficial currency.
Right.
Okay. So So now if you look at the entire structure of Middle East, right now the Turkey ko chhod do abhi, if you look at Saudi Arabia with this kind of a mindset and with this kind of a result, and you look at Iran with this mindset, then I mean, is it surprising that this kind of a country with such solid bureaucratic background and with such solid ideas about conceptualizing a plan and executing a plan would create forces like Hezbollah and all? What happens is, because America doesn't understand history and is not bothered about history, it doesn't bother about what went behind. It is just confounded with the result that it sees in front of it. So it sees that, okay, for the past 50, 60, 70 years, we've been trying to prop up this Arab nation, trying to give it some, maybe make it a little more powerful, give it some clout. We've been literally running this country. And yet these people have not been able to stand up on their two legs. And look at Iran, isko sanction kiya, isko idhar mara, udhar mara, Saddam ko isko chhod diya, sab kuch kiya. Uske बावजूद भी they're projecting power in places like Lebanon and Iraq. और उसका जो है the Hezbollah, which is like literally Iranian creation. अभी तो ईरान का सपोर्ट का उसको जरूरत भी नहीं है, because you know they are a league out on their own. They got a standing army which is bigger than the Lebanese army. Now Hezbollah on its own has started projecting power outside Lebanon. यहाँ पे हमने सऊदी को इतना पैसा दिया, उसने क्या किया, 40 तो टेररिस्ट ग्रुप को खड़ा कर दिया जो किसी का बात कोई नहीं सुनता है. वो बम मारने के सिवा they don't know anything.
Right.
There you have Shia militia groups, there you have the IRGC, there you have the Quds Force, you have the Hezbollah, you have a Shia population which is literally running the show in Iraq. You have you know, a clout in Lebanon, you have a clout in Syria, all in the course of this past 40 years, 79 ka revolution ke baad. What confounds America is how did this happen? What they don't understand is that Iran is a very rich country with a very solid tradition. They are very good administrator. They have very huge amount of influence. And this is something why Indians don't understand, is because we have.
Why don't we understand this?
Because we've been seeing is Saudi sponsored Sunni terrorism. Iran is very focused. Iran does not project where it cannot control. You have to understand that. Iran's complete focus is Middle East. If you look at that, first वो क्या उसने ईरान को वो Islamic Revolution हुआ, ईरान आ गया. When that happened, the Western press was like, "Eh, तो कुछ दिन 7 दिन से ज़्यादा नहीं चलेगा." That was the general opinion. तो सद्दाम को भी मजा लग गया कि अरे भाई इसको थोड़ा टेरिटरी ले लेते हैं. उसने घुस गया अंदर. Then there was a bloody war, and उसका थोड़ा बहुत ईरान first round जीत रहा था, and then they made that mistake of getting into Karbala, and then they got beaten badly because this guy started gassing the Iranians. तो वो tactical एक mistake था, but उसका strategic बहुत अच्छा result आया बाद में. So what happened is, छोड़ दो, उसके बाद देखो, even if I consider the fact that Iran lost that war, आज के दिन में Iraq is controlled by these people virtually, indirectly.
Right.
It's a Shia Gulf place. सऊदी अरब से एक अल-कायदा कंट्रोल नहीं किया जा सकता, किया जा रहा है. Why Indians? Okay, why Indians? Now going back to what we are saying is that why Indians are, because it is very difficult for us to understand a power which is absolutely silent and which is completely concerted in Middle East, concentrated in Middle East, putting in their concerted effort in building their clout in Middle East over the past 40 years. Iran यहाँ पे कुछ नहीं किया, करता भी नहीं, वो करेगा भी नहीं. So whoever comes tomorrow and talks about Shia militancy, if it happens, you please know this for granted that it is for optics. उससे ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं है. Iran doesn't project where it cannot control. Saudi Arabia क्या था, उसने पाकिस्तान को दे दिया पैसा. पाकिस्तान का इंडिया और कश्मीर के साथ अपना पर्सनल इशू था, उसने यहाँ पे चालू कर दिया. And the result is the same. Today, Pakistan doesn't know whether it controls the Taliban or not. The same way Saudi doesn't know who it controls and who it doesn't. Pakistan doesn't know who it controls and who it doesn't. दूसरा तरफ ईरान को देखो. So for us, we've been riddled with this Sunni extremism. We have been riddled with this, and the rest of the world also. Okay, the Shia का जो Hezbollah का जो है, last जो किया था, they rammed their military truck into the American and the French barracks after that वो Israeli fiasco back in '83. वो छोड़ के all these bombings that happen in Europe today, all these bombings that happen in India today, has there ever been a Shia militant Islamist terrorist group? Not that I can think of. That is why we don't understand. we think Iran तो एकदम बहुत अच्छा है, अपना दोस्त है, वो भी नहीं है, but okay.
नहीं, वो भी नहीं है.
No. They are a very serious bunch of people with a very focused agenda, and that agenda is that, you know, they are doing pretty good in Middle East, and they are sectarian. And going by United States' definition, they are not into terrorism, they are into sectarianism. United States terrorists उसको बोलते हैं जो कि irrespective सबको मारते हैं, which is what these guys are doing, the Al-Qaeda and the ISIL guys are doing. ISIL थोड़ा बहुत sectarian भी है, okay, but Iran is complete sectarianism, और वो भी people not directly controlled by Iran. Well, they may draw their moral, you know, क्या बोलते हैं उसको, legitimacy from Iran. But आज के दिन में जो शिया ग्रुप में जाके कुछ लफड़ा हो गया, कुछ झमेला हो गया in Iraq, you can't always hold Iran responsible for it. Which means that anything happens in the Sunni world, you have to either hold Turkey or you have to hold Saudi Arabia responsible, which doesn't work that way. Okay, I may have my affiliation with the Saudi Arabia and I may go and blow somebody out, but that doesn't put the blame directly on Saudi Arabia. That way, तो 9/11 का सऊदी अरब को पकड़ना चाहिए था ना, यूएस को जाके, because half of this hijack is where Saudis. So this is what we don't understand.
So you're saying that this Iranian mindset has had a corresponding reach and result?
Oh yes, big time. आज के दिन में तो, like I was saying, that, you know, they have the platform they have the Islamic platform, the Shia Islamic platform. They have consolidated really well. They have a superior bureaucratic and admin capabilities, which the Arabs don't have. इसको लेके इतना, मतलब इतना ये लोग का स्ट्रक्चरल बैलेंस है. अभी प्रॉक्सी आर्मी बोलो, मिलिशिया बोलो, all these are far superior than the Sunni ragtags, and they have right now at the end of the 40 years, they have a geostrategic advantage also. You see, Iran's boundary has never been threatened. Iran-Iraq war में भी जो हुआ था, that didn't do permanent damage to their boundaries. So जो चला गया वो चला गया. When the ceasefire was announced, they went back and the boundary remained sacrosanct. So they have won their, they have lost their war. उसमें जो tactical error था, जो मैं बोल रहा था कि there was a tactical error, आयतुल्लाह खमीनी बोला चलो अंदर चलो, करबला को लेते हैं, और जाके वो लोग आ गए कुछ नहीं करके, because Saddam started gassing their people. Ayatollah died after a couple of years after that, I think, और उसका last speech उसके बाद वो public में आया नहीं. But what happened is this time when Iraq attacked Iran was completely on its own. None of the Western world, none of the world anywhere was supporting them. Their army was actually weakened because वो सब cleansing चल रहा था when Ayatollah assumed the top position. So their army was weak, their country was weak. Here you have Saddam with the backing of United States who attacked you. You actually managed to push him back in the first innings. It is only when he began gassing you, you had to, you know, and he started gassing you with full support of the Arab nations. Saudi Arabia, सब जाके उसको पैसा देने लग गया था. Like, we're not participating in the war, but we are sponsoring your war. Go do whatever you like. And despite that, what happened is the Iranian, they, at the end of it, their country remained the same, their borders remained the same. This did wonders to their psychology. This did wonders to the Iranian psychology. Or I don't know if any studies have been done or not, but ये क्या बोलते हैं ना उसको? I don't know, you would be better able to explain. The Shias always have this, this, we've been defeated. The क्या बोलते हैं उसको?
The martyrdom, the martyr syndrome, you know?
Martyr mentality, martyr syndrome.
Mentality, yeah. It comes from Karbala only. Yeah, it's always the victimhood and the martyr mentality, basically.
So abhi ये जो mentality था, this is what started changing at the end of the war. I mean, we stood on our own. We took the might of Iraq and the Western world and the Arab world, and we were not defeated. And our country ka boundaries remain the same. This was a massive, change of mind. This triggered a massive change of mindset in the minds of the ordinary Iranians.
Which is true also. Which is true.
Yeah.
Right.
और इसमें एक और चीज है. You know, the first time when Iran was entering Iraq, during that half time when Iran was, winning, so to say, when they wanted to take Karbala, Khomeini ने कहा कि ये Iraqi Shias को बोला join with us.
Yes.
First round mein they did not join.
They did not.
They did not join.
Yes.
Then what happened? Then what happened today? When United States went in and destroyed Iraq, वो सब सुन्नी को मार दिया, बाथ पार्टी को cancel कर दिया. उसके बाद the government that came were the underground Shia guys.
Yes.
Now by this time, then this 10 years, 20 years that Iran got, they built those people, and वो mentality था बोल के, you know, that Shias on their own are capable of, resisting a power and onslaught as big as the Western world and the Arab world combined. तो वो जाके कुछ तो भी confidence दिया होगा बोल के this guys actually started,
Right.
getting in line, so to say, as far as the Shia ideology is concerned.
So that's
the
the
Shia
corresponding result. That's the corresponding result.
Yeah.
I understand it all began in 1979. It's a very
Yes.
important year for the Muslim world. 3 events, right?
Yes.
Over to you.
Three events. Well, the first, of course, was a revolution. Okay, so the Shah travels out, Ayatollah arrives, and then he takes over. All planned. There's a lot of story before that. Let's not get into it. So he gives his first speech voicing an unambiguous rejection of the Western domination of Shah Iran.
Yes.
And any form of monarchy. Interestingly, you know, when Ayatollah died, his last will and testament, 80% of his
assets.
No, 80% of his resentment.
Achha.
If his resentment were a ball, 100 point ka ball, 80 points from that ball was reserved not against Israel, not against Iran, not against USA, but against Saudi Arabia.
Oh.
Yes.
Right.
Saudi Arabia, this is one man whose legacy still makes Saudi Arabia very uneasy because of the sheer number of, the amount of influence that this guy has on Shia people. And Saudi Arabia, another reason Saudi Arabia is a little shaky when it comes, because they don't know their Shia population, which once again goes to show how weak they are as a state, which is what I was talking about. That they're not very solid, not very strong state structures. So anyway, the Shah comes in. Uska first speech में he talks about कि शाह वाला ईरान नहीं चाहिए और monarchy नहीं चाहिए अपने को कहीं पे भी Arab world में. So this was pretty generic. Then later on वो Arab के ऊपर जाके Saudi Arabia के ऊपर जाके गए. उसके बाद Iranian US embassy storming हुआ. So let's say these are two related events. उसमें embassy पे ज़्यादा नहीं जाते.
What is event? I think the next is the siege of Makkah. The siege of Makkah.
Makkah siege is very important.
Second
very
event
interesting.
is, 1979.
Makkah,
yeah.
So what happens now, and in terms of symbolism, is that this is the first country in the world that is embracing Islam in all its glory without any hanky-panky. इससे पहले जो भी था वो subtly था, वो capitalist था या communist था, dictator था या कुछ भी था, but they were not like. Ayatollah is the guy who is embracing Islam in all its glory.
Yeah.
And this was celebrated in all over the Western world because वो उसका sectarianism शुरू फिर नहीं, all over the Muslim world, sorry, उसका sectarianism नहीं शुरू हुआ था. Okay.
I mean, he was brought to power, according to Marjani Satrapi's book Persepolis, he was brought to power by the communist Iranians, the leftist Iranians. They welcomed him. And then within a few months, he turned against them and practically shot them, shot them.
And इसको Mossadegh के साथ भी problem था, वो जो बीच में हुआ था 51-53. Okay, Mossadegh had issues with the Today party, the Communist Party. Mossadegh had certain issues with the Ayatollahs also, the clerics, the clergy also. But such was their propaganda. They made whatever differences Mossadegh had with the Ayatollahs and the Today party, they were completely sidelined in the favor of a bigger narrative that, we are a continuation. He was a part of we are a part of him, Mossadegh. So that actually also played in the this thing, minds of the people massively. Saudi Arab Mecca was a very interesting thing. The incident at Mecca, the takeover of Mecca. This guy started getting in and they started lobbing bombs over this guys who were praying inside the first response was, oh, ye to Irani hai. बाद में when they caught this guys, they realized that ye to Wahhabi hai.
True.
And then again, like, caught napping Saudi Arabia. Then it was a wake-up call for them that, a king, this Saudi Arab royal family has got a Wahhabi, support, which is there 24/7, who log ke saath hai. But even these guys were probably getting very soft. So soft that वो कोई नाम नहीं, कोई पहचान नहीं, कोई भी आदमी आके मक्का में घुस जाता है वहाबिज्म के नाम पे, and they take Mecca over.
Yeah.
So we need to get a little tougher. That is where all the regressive laws and all came.
Right.
And this was a time when Russia walked into Afghanistan, 1979.
That's the third event. Yeah.
Yes. And so they saw कि यार मौका मिल गया. सऊदी अरब में भी करते हैं वहाबिज्म, और थोड़ा पाकिस्तान और अफगानिस्तान में भी भेजते हैं. So उसमें अपना दो काम हो जाएगा. We can, encircle Iran. And Pakistan, being the HR manager that it is, इधर से पैसा आ रहा है, इधर से रिक्रूटमेंट आ रहा है, वो लोग ट्रेनिंग वेनिंग दे के मैदान में छोड़ दे रहा है अफगानिस्तान में. Pakistan did their job. And we would be, of course, talking about Afghanistan another day. So I'll keep that for that session. So yes, three things happened.
Yeah.
The Islamic Revolution, the storming of Mecca, and the Russians walking in, so the arming of the Wahhabis and the terrorism. So abhi uske baad Kashmir, whatever has happened and has happened after that.
That's a spillover. I always call it a spillover from 1979
Yes.
into Kashmir. I think the next big event for Iran is in 1982-83, the Lebanon-Israel fiasco, right?
That's not for Iran. That's for Lebanon. That's a big event, actually.
Okay.
When
Not connected to Iran at all. I think the Contra event, right? The Contra.
It is related to Iran as far as Hezbollah is concerned. It is related to Iran. But what happened is, yes, it is a big event as far as the main markers of Iranian chronology is concerned. Saudi and Pakistan were busy creating Sunni terrorists. Isme kya ho gaya? Israel just walks into the south part of Lebanon to chase a few Palestinian terrorists. And then they bombed these guys, and they initiated kind of a de facto occupation kind of a thing there. Now, what Iran, south of Lebanon is a heavily Shia dominated area. So what Iran did was, Iran seized this opportunity and they began focusing on the Lebanese Shia. This is a very large, a very poor and a very overlooked chunk. इससे पहले लेकिन नहीं था. Of course, I say 79 when they came to power, it is 83, barely 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Okay, but they made their agenda and their ambition very clear that we are going to focus on the Shia guys. Once they consolidated, this led to the creation of Hezbollah. The South Lebanon का Shia population, and क्या हुआ इस बीच में कोई, I think Shia का कुछ procession चल रहा था. And the Israeli prison van or an armored truck or something got lost and found themselves inside the procession. ये जो Shia का procession चल रहा था in Lebanon. So these guys, they started throwing stones at the Israeli truck, Israeli van. The Israelis opened fire. It was a guard van, I believe. They opened fire. और इसमें क्या हुआ? 2-3 आदमी भी मर गया. Shia, this procession में. They landed up in killing a couple of people. That is when the first suicide bombing happened, actually. इसका जवाब था they took 2 trucks filled with explosives, rammed it into the United States and the French barracks. 250-300 people died. The result of it.
This is 1983.
1983, if I remember, 83, 82, 83. That's the time. Okay. The effect of it is very important. United States and France walks out of Lebanon.
Okay.
And very important, this is the first time Israel walks out of Lebanon. The first time Israel walks out of a territory which it has captured in Arab land.
I didn't know this.
Yeah. And this is how it started. And now Hezbollah is a political pillar. They have political clout in Lebanon. They have a standing army, as I said, which is bigger than the Lebanese army. They project power outside Lebanon. They have their militias groups and their chota mota ragtag groups who they control. They don't need to, seek an approval from Iran every time. Okay, so if you look at it from a management perspective, business model के हिसाब से देखो, तो Iran is extremely good in creating chota profit centers.
True.
And getting them to be independent, they run on their own. और इसको एक प्रॉफिट सेंटर भी बनाया ठीक तरह से नहीं जाता है.
So
the Arab, the Arab world, if you look at it that way. Okay, इसने पैसा डालना शुरू किया मद्रासा में. Probably they wanted to wahhabaize the entire continent.
but
उसका भी पता नहीं मेरे को क्या, whether they have a concerted plan, they have a well constructed plan or not. जाके वहां से कहां से 79 का वो अफगानिस्तान वॉर आ गया, उसमें से जिहाद आ गया, उसमें भी पैसा डाल दिया. एंड लुक एट द मेस दैट दे हैव क्रिएटेड. That way when you look at Iran, whatever violence for their geopolitical ambitions they are indulging in, it is all very tightly controlled.
it is.
Okay. So, and I also believe when I look at Iraq, West has this habit of identifying a crumbling structure and tapping it with a hammer and breaking it into 1,000 pieces. Iran probably took that page out of West's playbook and did that with Iraq when it happened.
Probably.
Yeah, when United States entered and took over Saddam Hussein, usko maar diya, sab kuch kar diya. Iran was like Iraq was probably the most dangerous place in the world then. उसके जैसा सेक्टेरियन वायलेंस तो मेरे ख्याल से कंटेम्पररी हिस्ट्री में कहीं नहीं हुआ है.
I mean, gassing their own people, the Kurds and I mean, of course, yeah. उसके जैसा तो.
So that was Saddam's time. I'm saying after the fall of Saddam Hussein,
right,
after the Baath party was banned and those 30,000-40,000 people were banned from holding offices and all.
Right.
उसके बाद and the uprise of the underground Shia revolution, the coming of this thing, वो क्या नाम है, Muqtada al-Sadr, and all of these people and all the Iran influenced people coming in and each with their own agenda. जो sectarian violence शुरू हुआ था among Shias and Sunnis in Iraq, this probably doesn't have very many parallels in contemporary history. From there to like kind of take advantage of that whole situation and to kind of क्या बोलते हैं उसको, control the whole structure in a way that आज के दिन में you have a Shia government in place in power. Man, that's some serious planning, which I don't think the Arab world is capable of executing anywhere across any level.
Okay, Arindam, this has been very enlightening. This is part 1 of the segment, and I'll be looking forward to holding part 2 with you. Thank you.
Thanks for calling me.